Hi folks, this is Adrian at 18 Echo SF. A couple of videos ago I recommended a couple of books that I thought were very good that had to do with training. One was written by Scott Reitz and the other by Tiger McKee. And I love those two books, and it was the reason I did the video to recommend them to everyone. Well, I found two other books that I love for a different reason than that I thought I would share with you today. If you have any, particularly if you have any female shooters in your home, wife, girlfriend, daughter, a neighbor, there's a book that was just written by a world-class female shooter by the name of Julie Golub. She is a world-class IDPA and USPSA shooter. She shoots handguns and is now into 3-gun shooting. She's sponsored by Smith & Wesson as well as a couple other companies, but her main guns are Smith & Wessons. And I thought I would share the book with you because I originally bought this book thinking that my wife might enjoy it because she is a relatively new shooter. And I thought it might just kind of move her along, not only in the interest she now has in learning to shoot defensive handguns, but just as a handgun owner in general. So this book is, it's called Shoot, Your Guide to Shooting in Competition by Julie Golub. It's a wonderful book. It's about $15. And it's broken down into very sensible sections that have to do with safety, why we even shoot, women in shooting. Again, the books might be geared towards women, but it isn't strictly for women, take my word. It has to do with NRA precision sports, Olympic sports, handgun action shooting sports like IDPA, taking the plunge. How do you get into competitive shooting if you're not even a shooter yet? Things like that. There's a section on fundamentals of handguns in general, advanced skills, practicing on the range, and how to go from being a newbie to a champion like Julie did. The book itself has some wonderful pictures. Let me open it up here and I'll see if you can see some here. Many of them in color, of course. There's some good black and white shots as well. There's another color shot of Julie shooting. And, but it shows stance and how to properly grip a handgun and how to sight properly. And, of course, the safety rules of shooting. And there's a great couple of nice pictures of her with shotguns, which she's now doing. So the book is laid out very, very good. There's the back, by the way. And like I said, it's about $15. It can be had either directly from her website, which links you to a couple of online bookstores, or directly from Amazon. And I'm going to put a link in the section below the video where you can click the link and it will take you right to Julie's website, and then also directly to one of the stores like Amazon to pick up the book. So again, the book is called Shoot, Your Guide to Shooting in Competition. Really a wonderful book, something you'll keep around and recommend to any female shooters that you might have in the family. The second book I'm going to recommend concerns 1911s. Now, I did a video a while ago explaining all the guns I've owned over the past 30 years, and explaining how I went from 1911s, which I shot mostly in the military, to switching over to some of the more even modern guns, the Berettas and the Springfield XDs. However, I've always returned to the 1911 as the pistol platform of choice for me. There's something about the way the gun feels in my hand. A lot of it probably has to do with the fact that it was my gun of choice in the military. a handgun at least, and that I was just very comfortable with every aspect of the gun, from disassembly to assembly to shooting, and I love the 45 caliber rounds, so I have always stuck with that, except for a couple of these other pistols that I have, which were 9mm, but it seems I always return to the 45, and I just love that gun. So you could imagine that over the years I may have acquired a couple of books on 1911s, which I do have. However, I happened to recently found this book called The M1911 Complete Owner's Guide. It's written by a gentleman who I had never even heard his name. His name is Walt Kulik. And Walt might possibly be the single most knowledgeable person that I've ever read. He has a tremendous understanding of the pistol itself, and the book is broken down into some really wonderful categories to use as a general reference. In other words, there's a history of the gun, of course, but then there's a complete nomenclature for all the parts that make up the pistol itself, the principles of the gun, how it works, the principles of operation, maintenance, cleaning, lubrication, disassembly, assembly, all the things that many of you probably already know. There's even a section on selecting the gun, since there are different varieties of 1911s from the different sizes, 4-inch Commanders to 5-inch GI models. But the book explains all of those. And it even has some sections that I have found extremely interesting. One particular on magazines, the things that I didn't even know concerning the different types of magazines we've had from 1911s over the years, the construction of them I'm referring to, and why the followers have been different, and how the feed lips have changed, and the reason for that, and how it relates to the 1911 you're shooting. So the gun is broken down nicely, or the book is broken down nicely that way, in case you have any issues at all with your gun. You could go to the book and possibly find an answer that might help you figure out what might possibly be causing a problem that you're having. And this book is not geared towards gunsmiths at all, so it allows the average shooter who's used to, tearing their gun down to do basic troubleshooting on it. So the book itself is really wonderful. There's some great pictures of Walt in the back shooting, and I have a feeling he's a very good shooter, by the way. And it explains ammunition and holsters and upgrades that all of us have done to the guns over the years, from safeties and beaver tails and things like that. So I highly recommend the book. It is my favorite 1911 book, and I've read quite a few. So again, it's called The M1911 Complete Owner's Guide by Walt Kulik. It's about $35, so it's not an inexpensive book. But I'll put a link in the remarks section, and if you are a 1911 fan and you collect books for a gun library that you might have, and want to learn even more about your book, and maybe even pick up a couple of tips of things you didn't know, just like I did, this is definitely the book. So I hope you enjoy both books if you get to see them or read them, and I'll see you down the road a bit. So stay well and safe out there.